Go.
Hello, I am Joseph's Uncle Donald, and Joseph really likes my meatballs. So today, I'm going to show him how to make meatballs the way I make them, in hopes that someday he'll make meatballs that taste just as good for me. Now, the ingredients, we don't really measure them out, that's just the way I am, and I work with the amount of burger I have to start with, which is this much. So, first thing we're going to do is break up the burger in the bowl, so it ain't all in one big chunk. Just break it up a little bit, so as we add the things to it, the spices and the eggs and stuff, it'll get all infused in all the meat. So we're going to start with 2 eggs for this amount of meat. Try not to leave any shells in the mix. Okay, now onions. Chopped up, smaller is better usually, but if people really like onions, it doesn't matter. Joseph, they're not his favorite. But I'm going to put in a good amount of onions because I'm starting with a good amount of meat. Give that a quick little spread around, and then we're going to do the Parm cheese, which I'm emptying this one out, and that's certainly not enough, because like you can never have enough Parm cheese. That looks about right, and the reason I don't measure it is because we're making meatballs. Everybody makes meatballs a little different, so the recipes will vary a little different. If you want to measure things out with measuring cups and all of that, that's fine. I'm sure whatever you do will come out delicious. These are Italian style breadcrumbs, and I'm going to add just a little bit more than that. Another picture of the bowl, so see, it doesn't even look like meatballs yet. You can't even see the meat now, but believe me, it's in there. So open this up. Add just a little bit more, doing it by eye. Now, of course, we gotta have garlic. I don't know of any meatball recipe, any Italian style meatball recipe, that doesn't have garlic in it. And we're using garlic powder because that will incorporate into everything nicely, as opposed to chopping up fresh garlic, which is always better, if you ask me, depending on the recipe and the time you have. So now we go with the oregano, a good amount of oregano. Parsley. Okay, at this point, we go over here. What I have is 6 slices of white bread with most of the crust trimmed off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get them a little bit of wet under the faucet. So you turn the water on just a little bit, kind of like a drizzle. Sorry about the messy sink, but I've been cooking today. And you get them just a little wet on both sides. And you lay those in on top because we're going to mash it all together. And getting the bread wet like this helps with keeping the meatball mix moist. Bring it back over here. We're going to put on some gloves. I gotta stir my soup on the back burner. Turkey soup, of course, leftovers from Thanksgiving, so that's what happens to that. Okay, now, as you can see all of that, I'm gonna pour in some pasta sauce. Whatever you like for pasta sauce is fine. I like the Hunt's meat sauce for this straight out of the can. That's quite a bit. And now we're gonna mash it all together and turn it into one big mix. Squishing it together. And once it's all mixed properly, then we'll determine whether it is too dry or too wet. If it is too dry, we add a little more sauce to it. If it is too wet, we add a little bit more breadcrumbs to it. But this is starting to feel pretty good already. I know it looks messy, and it is. But hey, it's worth it. That's a little too moist, so we're going to add some breadcrumbs to it, and that'll help dry it up. A little bit at a time, because you don't want it to get too moist, then too dry. You have to add more sauce, too moist, too dry. So a little bit at a time. We put the glove back on, and we mix that in. Still see bits of onion in there, the green flakes of parsley, the oregano. It smells great. I wish these phones had a way that you could smell over them. Make a note of that, Joseph. Smell phones.
Probably with current technology today, maybe they have something invention like that.
You think?
I'm pretty sure somewhere out there in the
Somewhere they'll
world.
come up with it. We can't make a million, somebody's already doing it. All right, there we have a meatball. I'm just kidding. There we have a lump of meatball mix. Make sure, go through it one more time, make sure it's mixed up good. And that's a good consistency right there. Now before rolling that into meatballs, we're gonna let it sit so all the spices and have time to incorporate themselves in with the burger. And this is 85% burger, just beef. Some other meatball recipes, and in the past I've made them with burger and lamb, ground lamb, or burger and ground pork, and they all make good meatballs. Mine or anybody else's, I don't think I've ever had a bad tasting meatball. So we're gonna let that sit for a while, then we'll come back to it.